Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now October 28th of 2022, and ever since the very end of course, the Mandalorian Season 2, the Book of Boba Fett, Tales of the Jedi now, as well as getting closer to the end of Andor Season 1, and the Kenobi series before in the past, there's a lot of build-up for what Favreau and Filoni are planning to really respect the franchise again, and to really kind of propel things in a more positive direction. Now, that's not to say that Mando was not a success, it was a huge success, but they're always looking to improve with the Mandoverse. It was the Kenobi series and Boba Fett that kind of really fell flat for a lot of fans out there. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing that a lot of fans have been raising their arms over has a lot to do with Kathleen Kennedy and what she has been doing over the years. And we've talked about this endlessly, that everything related to what Kennedy has been trying to achieve has fallen into nothing but creative differences with other creators, firings, replacing other employees, and it just really was a mess time and time again for a lot of projects out there. I think that the D&D trilogy was probably the biggest failure by Kathleen Kennedy, if I really had to say that out flatly there. The of course, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss trilogy was really supposed to be a very expansive one, and she completely just disregarded them. Now, on to the next thing. What's really going on with, of course, a particular Star Wars TV show has a lot to do with, of course, what's been going on with Kathleen Kennedy, Leslie Headland, the Disney executives, and a whole lot more as well. Now, as you all know, of course, related to all of this, given that Favreau and Filoni are focused on their new Star Wars projects that will borrow many elements from Star Wars Legends, it's noted that currently Favreau and Filoni are actively resetting Rey's backstory for the Star Wars franchise. However, it's noted that as of right now, Lucasfilm is running into more trouble with the Acolyte series due to budgeting constraints that have been enforced by Disney executives, including Disney CEO Bob Chapek. Now further, it's noted that currently Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland are being forced to cut down, of course, one whole episode from the Acolyte series due to budgeting limits being forced by Disney now. This is said to have been the third to last episode that has now been completely cut from the show, and that now further rewrites are being implemented into the series to make up for the loss of that actual episode. Now, the episode that got cut is said to have involved a full-on story about two dark side users codenamed Yuri and Vera, where this episode was set to involve two Darksiders using, of course, the Force to fight against each other for the first time in live-action form. Actually, that would actually be done in an ancient Sith temple. Now, let me just stop here for a quick second. Now, this isn't the first time that Kathleen Kennedy has run into more problems with the Acolyte series and how Disney executives are now getting in the way. Now, the thing about Disney is that they gave Kathleen Kennedy multiple chances, multiple warnings before in the past about what she could do, what she could not do with the Acolyte series, right? And yes, she had full creative control for a very long time, but up until recently, where it's been costing Disney like so much revenue, so much money on building sets, taking down sets, hiring directors, firing directors, and getting new ones on board, it's just been a very big limbo-esque project, so to speak. And when you look at it like that, that's where I believe that this show is either A, gonna just keep on getting delayed, or B, it's gonna just get canceled altogether, you know, because they were supposed to begin filming by November 1 for the main stuff, which of course now has been delayed until sometime in December. So they have to do a lot of tweaking now based on this one whole episode that has been deleted, completely cut from the story. The third to last episode, it was said to be a crucial episode for the series, and this is all because Kathleen Kennedy had so many problems with the show that forced Disney to put it upon Lucasfilm to cut an entire episode because of budgeting restraints. The main reason being is that Disney knows, apparently, that this show is going to be a big failure, it's not going to succeed, it's not going to live up to expectations from the fans, and so on and so forth. Now, on to the next thing here, alright? Now, this whole, of course, episode written by Leslie Headland has now been erased by Kathleen Kennedy as well, because since Disney is looking to shorten the series, Disney has been limiting the series budget and episode, of course, since they are said to know that this series already is going to perform poorly for the fans, similar on a Last Jedi level. That's not good. Now, Kennedy is said to be panicking over this major decision about the Acolyte by Disney to cut a whole episode, and that more delays may happen because of all of this. As of now, already, the series is not intended to release until the spring of 2024. However, Favreau and Filoni walked out on fixing the show after they themselves realized how difficult it was of a situation to handle. Now, let me elaborate. Now, I don't know if you guys knew this, but we talked about this too, is that John and Dave were involved in fixing and repairing aspects of the Acolyte series based on a lot of, Kathleen Kennedy's failures with the show, and they were trying to piece things together, forcing Leslie Headland to write some very rich material, and some of which will remain, but they walked away from that because it was just too difficult of a situation. It was taking their focus, I guess you could say, away from the Mandoverse, away from the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett 2, and a whole lot more. Even the Ahsoka series. So they had to focus on that instead of this. And it just goes to show you that this may very well be, a lost cause of a show. I don't really know what it's going to look like when it comes to the visuals. Apparently the cinematography is going to look amazing. But hey, when you look at The Last Jedi, the cinematography was amazing, but the story was very poor. So it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of possibilities to maybe piece things together correctly and get the pacing right for this show and to really find the right story. But it's just looking like a very tough situation for Kathleen Kennedy right now and Lucasfilm's team, or the Acolyte team, so to speak, quote unquote. Now, of course, this does raise a couple of questions. What does that mean for the Skeleton Crew show? This is also another Kathleen Kennedy driven project. Now, the good news about Skeleton Crew is that Jon Favreau, actually got John Watts to really, inform him about what's going on with that particular project that Kathleen Kennedy has all control over. And it's created a very sticky situation because Kennedy is actually forcing John Watts to do things that aren't necessarily Star Wars-y per se. And given that John Watts and Jon Favreau are really good friends, by the way, it puts them in a very tough spot. And that's why there's a lot of moments where Favreau doesn't really like to talk about Skeleton Crew, you guys may notice, in the interviews that he's been giving, let alone the Acolyte. So, overall, there's a lot of things happening. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.